It's not often I get a chance to sit down with a medical doctor and a family counselor, but especially together, who happen to be married. Dave and Sonya Cameron, thanks for coming our way. You've written, what's the word I wanted to use? An unusual book. It's a remarkable book called The Rest of Health. Learn the 7 vital strategies to optimize your well-being. Now, I got to say right off the top, the thing that I appreciate about this book was it didn't appear in any way to be a typical self-help book. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
In fact, what you do is you sort of choose a kind of a semi-fictional way of presenting your thoughts with a guy by the name of Mike. Why did you decide to do that, David?
You know, we first didn't want to have a typical book on health that had a list of do's and don'ts that made you really discouraged. We wanted to have a book that was helpful to people, one that people could relate to, and so we decided to do it through a story format. There is nonfiction material, but it's all woven through the fictional story of a man named Mike, and he's a guy that we took our practices, our counseling practice and my medical practice, with hundreds of patients, and so we synthesized some of the most common things, and we had him experience those. Yeah. And so we wanted to have it be something that people could identify with. It's
pretty novel. And why, Sonya, why the title, The Rest of Health? Why did, I mean, you could have chosen any number of titles. Yes. Why that?
Well, there's a double meaning to it. One of the main parts of it is that a lot of people get stuck with too narrow of a view of health. They'll just think, I just need to go to the gym and then I'm healthy and fine. But meanwhile, their relationships could be really suffering, or spiritually they could be really unwell. So what we are presenting here is a comprehensive view, looking at the rest of health, not just physical health, but spiritual health.
But there's also a connotation of rest.
Yeah. Hence our cover, he's laying out on the beach there.
Yeah. I don't know if the guy's fainted, but it's a nice shot of his feet. But you used the word comprehensive, and that's exactly the word that occurred to me as I was reading it. This is comprehensive, because I think the 7 steps, you don't get to physical stuff till what, the 3rd step? I'm just checking your looking to learn, transforming your thinking, establishing healthy boundaries, then caring for your body, raising your emotional IQ, cultivating your spiritual life, fine-tuning relationships. We've only got 20 minutes, and I mean, all we can do is get a little taste here. But I appreciated the fact, David, that you started out with looking to learn. Why is that so important?
Well, I think it's really critical, especially for men, because a lot of times men when they come to me, and if someone comes in with a little bit of chest pain, I'm thinking, uh-oh, they're having a heart attack, because a lot of men are underreporters. There's another great Canadian program, The Red Green Show, and their motto is, I'm a man, I can change, if I have to, I guess.
Yeah, and when all this fails, where's the duct tape?
Yeah, where's the duct tape? You know, and you know, I love that show, and it really is a great thing, because people need to be looking to learn. The Bible says, you know, that it's the wise person that is willing to look for instruction, and that's what it says that in Proverbs through and through. And so, if someone is not looking to change some of the patterns that are going on in their lives, they're going to have a difficult time having change and having health in different areas.
But the problem, Sonya, with looking to learn is that learning generally is a process, and there's a patience factor, and we're really living in a quick fix culture, right?
Yeah, we are, and I think that because of that, that's one of the reasons why we actually wrote this book, actually, Jim, is because in our fields and our training, we wanted to synthesize the vast material that's out there of health information and put the most effective strategies for health into this book. And the process of it was we tried to make it really practical. You know, there's a story where we teach, where it's entertaining sometimes, there's jokes and sports references, but we also synthesized it down to like specific concrete steps that are practical for raising emotional intelligence or transforming thinking, and then it's interactive, you know. So in our book, there's the worksheets or activities that people can fill out so you can quickly apply it to your life. So it suits a fast-paced society.
When I saw the Pentagon of Change, right away I thought of the Pentagon in Washington D.C. I couldn't help it, right? But a Pentagon is a five-sided. What do you call it? It's not a circle, it's not a square, it's not a triangle, it's a pentagon.
Just pentagon shape.
5 sides. But you talk about the core aspects of a human being, the social behavior aspect, the emotional and feelings aspect, the spiritual, the thoughts, and the biological, physical. But again, this is what I appreciated about your approach, was that it's not a quick fix, and it's not a follow this formula and you'll find what you're looking for. It's a case of us being so complicated, and there are so many layers to who we are, right, David?
Absolutely. You know, I get patients that come in with one problem. Let's say I had a patient that came in with shoulder pain, And as I started asking her about the shoulder pain, she said, well, it started around the same time. I had a car accident, but it was at the same time that she went through a divorce. And then she was having a difficult time being able to come to the doctor's office because her son was going through several challenges in his life. And then she said, you know what, it started hurting so much I couldn't light up my cigarette. And so I didn't think that was probably the best motivation. Well, but you know, at least she's coming in. And then we started talking a little bit more. She was feeling more depressed. She wasn't going to church anymore. She wanted to isolate herself. So there's a whole lot of things that go into this. And it's not just the shoulder. And for her to get taken care of, she needs to be addressing all of these issues. More comprehensive than just looking at the shoulder.
You know, the first time I was exposed to this was as a kid. I was always an inveterate reader. I still am, insatiable really. And I think I was about 13, 14, I encountered the word psychosomatic for the first time, which, you know, introduced to me the concept that sometimes a physical affliction can reflect something deeper seated.
Yeah, that's very true. Depression is one of the most common mental health problems across Canada and the United States, and it can present itself as stomach aches, headaches. Dave could tell you more different things that it'll cause, but a lot of back pain. Back pain is so common, and it can actually be depression that's the root issue, and that's the idea that it's a mental health or psychological condition that's manifesting physically. That's the nature of that.
You go on at great length, and I mean, my eyes almost glazed over when I was reading all of this because it's so information heavy, but I mean, good for you. Common faulty thinking patterns.
Yes.
And you know, we don't have time to go through them all. Yeah. But you know, the very first common faulty thinking pattern really struck me. Negative filtering, as you call it, David. Yeah. Boy, how true is this of so many people?
You know, I think negative filtering, especially with people that are prone to depression, are extremely common. So negative filtering, I think of a pristine beach. It's perhaps like one on the cover right there. It's just beautiful. And someone who comes with a sifter and finds a few sharp rocks that are on that beach, and they sift them out, and that's all they have left. And they think, okay, this beach is just a bunch of these sharp rocks. What a terrible beach this is. Now, that's a faulty thinking when you have this wonderful beach. Now, the most important thing to do is the alternate healthy thinking pattern, which is stick to the facts. So just focus on the truth of what's going on, that this is a beautiful beach, it's lovely, it's great, there's wonderful water there, and many people, they only focus on those sharp rocks. And so one of the things we try to really focus on is to help people to really make sure they're counting all of the facts that are going into the situation.
You know, something that struck me as I was reading this faulty thinking patterns is that, and I work in Africa. That's my main focus is working with orphans and widows who have been victimized by HIV, and I've been doing it now for 10 years. And so I'm working with the poorest of the poor in Africa, community after community, thousands of people now, orphans and widows. Because they're living way below the poverty line, on less than $1 a day, when in fact from one day to the next they don't know if they'll see the next day. My wife asked one guy in Malawi recently how many kids he had. He said, well, this morning I had 11.
Boy.
And that's a serious comment. Because by tonight I don't know how many I'll have. Okay. They don't have the indulgence of navel gazing and self-absorption that a lot of faulty thinking reflects. They're literally just trying to survive. And so I find in them a remarkable measure of emotional health. And as they interact with the Lord, you know, and all of them are believers, a very strong, resilient faith. And I'm really wondering, you know, as you're reading this book about the rest of health, or as you're writing the book, I should say, how much of our affliction relates to our self-absorption, our selfishness?
Well, I heard a great speaker, Barbara Sparks, one time talk about the root of all sin being self-centeredness. You know, and so I think that sinfulness and or self-absorption can tie into that. And those thinking patterns that we've identified, the 15 most common, are really common. And it's interesting to hear your comments about how they relate to people in different countries, because each one of those faulty thought patterns can contribute to anxiety or depression and cause difficulty adjusting to change in life. So I wonder, if the folks that you're ministering to, one of the reasons they have that health is that they've had to adjust to so much change and upset, that's developing that skill can lead to so much health. And
when they dance, they dance. When they sing, they sing. And I never hear them complaining. You know, they're just saying, I trust the Lord, He looks after me. I don't know where tomorrow's breakfast is coming from. I don't know if I'll eat more than once tomorrow, but you know, praise the Lord.
It just highlights how important our spiritual health is for our overall well-being. Because